So I just came from a leadership conference with some amazing leaders within my organization. And what do leaders do when we get together? We talk about the successes and challenges of leadership. One of the topics that we discussed this time in particular really stood out to me, and that is managing change within our teams and our organization. And there was a lot of discussion about how when leaders go to implement new changes in procedures or policies or how we're doing business, or even maybe a change to the direction that the team or a particular project was headed in, how there's backlash. People tend to be a little disgruntled. It's not received well oftentimes. And we were going over solutions and strategies to help our teams better deal with change when we get ready to implement them. And I was sitting there kind of putting myself in a position, I kind of blocked out the noise, and I put myself in a position of someone on the other end receiving some type of notice that a change is taking place. And I began to kind of think and reflect on how I have felt in the past. In that moment, what is going on in that moment when my boss or supervisor is telling me that they are implementing a new procedure that's going to change the way we've been doing things, take something away or add something to what we've already been doing. And I begin to realize in that moment that I'm often feeling initially, even one who is really flexible and understand that change is good and necessary, sometimes initially I tend to feel a little sense of panic. And it's because of this. I think deep down on the inside, none of us want to feel inadequate or feel like we're not capable. And sometimes if somebody is throwing changes at us, saying that we're getting ready to do something different, it normally requires us to do something different and to make some type of change. And in that moment, as they're sharing the news of this big change that is about to take place, we're often sitting there internalizing and rationalizing our part in this change, what it requires of us, whether our time, skills, resource. And sometimes we may feel like it's something that we can't do. We start to feel inadequate or not prepared, or that what is being asked is beyond our ability, right? And we don't want to feel inadequate or not capable. And sometimes I think we tense up in the moment that change is being presented to us, because we feel like we're not going to be able to live up to what is now being asked. I'm an engineer, or I'm a mathematician, or I'm an HR person, or whatever my job is. And now you're asking me to do something different that on the outside, it seems like it's outside of my scope, my abilities, what I'm used to. Yes, maybe my comfort zone. And sometimes I think we chuck it up as people just don't like change. They want to stay in their comfort zone. But sometimes when we are being brought out our comfort zone, we start to feel inadequate. There are different strategies that we can use when we're getting ready to implement change within our teams and in our organizations. And I'll discuss a few here. One is to sort of what I call prep the battlefield, right? You're going to prepare your team ahead of time when possible. Hey, we're looking at making a change to this area. This may be coming down soon, just kind of giving you the heads up. We're having strategy sessions. We're having brainstorming. There's a team that's working on X, Y, or Z, because we're looking for ways to do better, make the product better, provide a better end solution to our customers. You kind of let them know ahead of time. The second thing you can do is bring them in on the solutioning session or that strategy session about making the change and implementing the change, to get their ideas, to get their feedback, to get their buy-in. That also makes it a whole lot more easier to embrace and accept the change. And then 3, you tie that change when you get ready to present it and deliver it to your vision, to your solution, so they see the bigger picture. You kind of give them the why behind it. Don't just say, hey, we're no longer doing it that way. Go to page 3. This is the way we're doing it now. You need to learn the new way. And then you walk away and they're like, what? What do you mean? And so I think those 3 things will help us when it comes to implementing changes within our teams and in our organizations. Yeah, I know some things we just have to deal with. They change on the fly. There's no warning, and we have to adjust. And there's a time and a place, for that. But then I think sometimes it's just a matter of matter of us being intentional about making sure our people understand that change is good. Change means we're growing, we're getting better, but there's ways to go about implementing those changes, presenting it to your teams, and so that they are a little bit more comfortable and they don't feel inadequate and feel like they're not prepared, because that's the last thing any of us want to do, is feel inadequate or not prepared. And if things constantly change and we don't know why they're changing, maybe it's changing because of me. And so I have all of these thoughts, right? I put in a lot of hard work into this current process or procedure or product, and now we're making changes to it. No questions asked, no explanation. That's not a good place to be in. And so don't do that to your teams. So that's my thought. I thought I would share that with you. There was excellent conversation surrounding implementing change. And so that's what I internalized as I was sitting there, just reflecting on how I feel when I've been on the other end of receiving some type of notice that, hey, change is being made in the workplace. So I hope that helps. Leave your comments. Let me know what you think. Share it with somebody that you think needs to hear it. And again, as always, thanks for connecting with us here on our Relational Leadership Network. And I will see you guys next time.